How goes it, friends? It's a lovely, rainy, dreary day outside. So, it's been a minute. So this one is kind of like a little bit of a story. I had this idea to tell this story that I find kind of funny. It's like a little bit messed up, but it's funny too. I call it my sleep screaming. Okay, so once upon a time, I have like some pretty bad nightmares. Nightmares that somebody like shows up on my doorstep with like a knife and like tries to kill me or something. Like that, those are the type of nightmares that I have a lot. So I have these dreams where I'm being attacked, and my response to these dreams in recent years has been to scream in my sleep. I don't know if you've ever had a dream where you're like trying to talk or yell and no sound comes out. It's kind of like that at first. I'll be trying to scream. So my response in my dreams, for whatever reason, is to scream. And in my dream, I think for whatever reason that this is gonna like help me in the situation. Like, I mean, I guess maybe it would, but like I do also run in the dream, and maybe I might fight back. Some of the time, but I try to scream, and usually it starts out. Usually I will start trying to scream in my dream, and no sound comes out. So it's like hard to explain. Like it's like a silent scream almost, to the point where finally I do start to make a sound, and it's like not easy usually. I think, at least for me, to like scream in your sleep because you're not like connected with like your body so much when you're dreaming. Like whatever like senses are going on are like shut off while you're asleep. So it ends up being like a whisper scream in a way. At first anyway, or most of the time. So I'll demonstrate, as ridiculous as this is. It would be like like that, and I'll be doing that in my sleep quite a bit. Like that's very common for me. But once that starts, if that doesn't wake me up, or if I'm not near somebody who hears that and like wakes me up, or one of the cats wakes me up, then I'll keep doing it louder and louder and louder until it's ah, ah, ah. And usually that will wake me up. Like the sound of my own voice will wake me up out of the dream, and I'll like shoot up like in bed, like with my heart racing, like freaked out, thinking like all of this was real, and then realizing like, okay, none of that was real. Like so like that happens quite a bit. And when I first realized I was doing this, I was living alone, and I would just wake myself up screaming. And I knew that it was strange. Like, I knew it was weird. But a lot of times I would do it, and my cat would come running and, like, start, like pawing at my face. She's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, stop it. And a lot of times she would wake me up when I was, screaming. And then another thing that I do a lot, this one's even funnier, is growling in my sleep. See, this doesn't happen when I'm dreaming about being attacked by a person. This happens when I'm dreaming about either monsters or ghosts, usually. And at some point, I don't know when it came about, but I started to develop this idea in my dreams that if I growled at the ghosts or monsters, that it would scare them away. And if you're like fighting a ghost or monster, there aren't really a lot of tactics you can use against them, especially ghosts, because theoretically, like, you can't touch them, so you can't fight a ghost. So the only thing you could really do would be to like somehow convince the ghost to leave you alone. And I, in my dreams, thought that growling at the ghost would scare them away, kind of like the idea of like when animals try to act bigger than each other or whatever to like seem intimidating. Like, this is like the idea I have in my dream. So a lot of times it comes out as like, again, similar to the sleep screaming, it comes across as like a very slight growl, because it's not really easy to make like intentional noises when you're asleep. So it'll start out like and like that like rumble in your throat, even, it's not easy to get. So I'll be like really trying to force that sound to come out. So it'll be like almost like gurgling, just like a gurgling noise. And then eventually it might come across as like a growl, like an actual like and as you can imagine, this is not something that is easy for people to deal with who might be sleeping in the same room as me or even in the same bed. So like, for example, one of the big ones, which is basically the funniest one that I have, the funniest story that I have related to this, I was visiting my aunt and my grandma in Reno, Nevada, and I was there with my mom. And my mom and I were basically sharing a guest room, and we were also sharing, I believe, a pull-out couch bed. So we were laying right next to each other, and so I was having one of my dreams about being attacked. Somebody shows up on my doorstep with a knife, something like that. And in this particular dream, I didn't just decide to scream, I was also fighting the person. And I screamed out loud, clear as day, at the top of my lungs, "Die, mother, blank," with my mom laying right next to me. And my mom's never even heard me use profanity. That's like not my style. I don't use like curse words around my family. I never have. So for my mom to be jolted awake by me screaming "Die, mother, blank" at the top of my lungs in my sleep was like the most awkward moment. And to top it off, it woke up all the dogs in the house, so they started barking. It's like, I don't remember if I like talked to my mom right away when it happened, but I know I like at least the next morning like told her, yeah, I scream in my sleep. It's a thing. I don't know what, like, it just started happening at one point. So that was like one of the more like bizarre, awkward, and extreme cases. I've had so many times where, like, my boyfriend now, who I live with, I've woken him up with my bizarre screaming, and it scares the crap out of him, to where he'll wake up and, like, he'll kind of start screaming. He'll be like, "Ah, what's happening?" Because I'm just, like, screaming. Like, he assumes, like, something terrible's happening. But no, it's just me being an idiot. Or the growling. He'll be laying there and just hear my sleeping self just start, like, gurgling and growling. And I'm sure it's just the strangest thing. Like, the other night, what prompted me to make a video about it was, I had apparently multiple times throughout the night woken him up with my dumb screaming, and I didn't even know that I'd been doing it. But the time that I woke myself up doing it, I just remember like screaming like ah ah ah, and then waking up and like feeling like a dumbass, like feeling stupid as hell for doing it, and I just saw him like get out of the bed, not say a word to me, just take his pillow and leave and not come back for the rest of the night. He just went downstairs to sleep on the couch. And I didn't realize at that point that I'd done it multiple times throughout the night, but I just found that to be extremely funny that he just noped out of the room at that point. So yeah, that's kind of the whole story of my sleep screaming. But like the screaming, like it happens randomly. There's like nothing I can really do to stop it. It's all very strange. It's funny. Like I find myself laughing about it when it happens, like a lot. Like I will be on the floor laughing because I find it so hilarious. But it is also something that's kind of strange, and I don't like hear people hear that people deal with that too often. I don't know. I don't ever hear anybody else tell stories about screaming in their sleep. I think I'm just that big of a freaking weirdo. So yeah, that's my wonderful story. Have a wonderful, rainy, dreary, cloudy, gray